Mike Leigh is one of the most highly esteemed British filmmakers working today. His latest film, Vera Drake, is the story of a cleaning woman in post-war England who secretly performs illegal abortions for young women. The film took the top prize at this year's Venice Film Festival and garnered its star, Imelda Staunton, a Best Actress award.
You know what Vera's like? She finds a young fella, lives on his own, no family, walks him in with us, gives him his tea.
She's got a heart of gold, that woman.
This is a woman who is just, in a very unsentimental way, is naturally a good person. She does things for people, and one of the things that she does is help girls who, as they say, are in trouble.
Oh, morning, Mrs. Fowler.
I'm a very ordinary working class woman who does a lot of cleaning and helps her neighbours and performs abortions. I think the minute you say backstreet abortionist, you do think of something rather darker and more evil, and most of these women were not.
How'd that go the other week?
Same as usual.
Nervous little thing, wasn't she?
I put her right, set her mind at rest.
You always do, don't you?
Let's talk about this film, Vera Drake. What drew you to the subject matter?
I just felt that probably it was time now to look at the moral dilemma that the question of terminating pregnancies poses for all of us through this thing of creating a film that's set in 1950 at a time where in the UK or in England and Wales it was still illegal, still outlawed, in order to look at the moral question, really. Societies everywhere have always had people like Vera. You know, Vera Drakes have been there, women who knew how to deal with this problem. She does it not for money, but she does it because she just thinks people need help, and eventually things go wrong. The law catches up with her.
Good afternoon, sir. D.I. Webster, Metropolitan Police.
Oh, yes?
Does Mrs. Vera Drake live here, sir?
Yes, she does, yes.
May we come in?
I mean, I read a lot of statements from women who were in Holloway prison in the 40s and 50s who were all mothers and grandmothers, and that surprised me. And then a lot of articles from women sort of in the early 60s who had had abortions in the 50s. And of course it was, you know, all to do with the society then, that women felt so desperate that that's the act they would go through in order to survive.
Mike Leigh's process is very different than almost any other filmmaker out there. He doesn't hand you a script and say, here's what it is, or even like Woody Allen, hand you your side and say, this is what it is. It's a huge process. Tell me what you first knew of this film. What's the first thing he said to you?
Well, he said, I'm going to make a film set in the 50s and concerning abortion. Okay, I said. He said, is that something you would be prepared to do? Yes. And that was it. And that's all I knew.
I never go away and write a sort of separate script. It's something that happens through actually doing it, till we arrive at something that's very precise and very cinematic, hopefully, and very ordered.
It's always very interesting to me, because I'm wondering from the actor's perspective too. They know when they sign on with a Mike Leigh film, this is what they're into. But are there moments where they're kind of going, I just wish I had a script, or do they all seem to really relish the idea of this kind of development?
And one of the ways of making this all work is that the deal for every actor, right across the board, is that, you know, be in this film, I say to them, but you will never know what the film is about or anything about the film except what your character would know. So it means that each actor only perceives the whole thing from the point of view of his or her character. And since the work on all the characters is very thorough and three-dimensional, it means that they don't take time out to worry about the fact that there's no script. They're really into the whole experience.
What's all this about?
There's a long shot of your face when Vera's discovered and her secret is out, and sort of face just falls very slowly. Was there any discussion ahead of time about what you would do with the director, or did that shot just come about?
No, that whole scene is the result of the scene before that and the scene after is a result of about a 7.5-hour improvisation where I didn't know the police were coming, so I nearly had a heart attack.
We didn't discuss it at all. I mean, because we got the situation and the tensions and the absolute reality in the room that all the actors were doing. I mean, it's not a solo job. I mean, she's able to do what she's doing because all the actors were totally in it. And so when one was there, when we were shooting it, you could cut it with a knife. It was so real. And that reality earns its keep and motivates and drives her and makes it possible for her to give that kind of performance. And very special it is.
How do you help them out?
When they can't manage.
When they can't manage?
That's right.
You mean when they're pregnant? So, how do you help them out?
I help them start their bleeding again.
You perform an abortion. Is that right, Mrs. Drake? You perform abortions, don't you?
That's not what I do, dear. That's what you call it, but they need help. Who else they're going to turn to? They got no one. I help them out.